Hello, good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode 7 of the GM Post-Mortem. Hi, Lydia. How you doing?
Hello, Colin. I'm wonderful. I'm back on my bullshit in terms of time zones. So I'm actually wonderfully awake, even though it's 1 a.m. in the morning.
What time did
But
you wake up?
maybe 3:30 in the afternoon. Why
That's...
did you why did you sound like a parent there? That is the worst of all
You know, I was about to admit... it just
connotations.
occurs to me that I can't remember your middle name, and I was about to middle name you real hard.
I don't have one. I don't have
That's
one.
why I
I
don't
was
remember.
born with no weakness.
Well, there you go. That's why I don't remember that.
Hmm.
So now I don't feel bad about it. I was about to shame you. Um,
We are actually covering like three very different time zones
oh,
of the
yeah.
world today, if you
We're
think
all...
about it.
We are... Yeah, the sun does not set on this conversation. Much like the British Empire of old.
I'm actually seeing Michael's room on my Zoom screen just brightly lit as I sit here in utter
In a
darkness.
dungeon. Here, let me we're talking with Michael Sands today. I mean, we're gonna be talking some Monster of the Week and some other heavy stuff, so let me just let me match
I
your lighting here and get
see.
some...
I already did the red
Yeah,
and
I
the
know.
monster tentacles.
What? So we can't both do
Keep
red?
up, keep up. No,
Right about there. There we go. Okay. We'll keep the vibe going. So I guess we already spoiled it. Lydia, tell the people who are our guest. Who's our guest?
we are talking to Michael Sands today, the creator of the Monster of the Week TTRPG, which is something that I think that was the first game we played together, really.
First
If you
game we
think
played
about
together
it.
was Dungeons and Dragons, actually. One time
Oh,
on a
the
one
guards
shot.
game, yeah.
Yeah.
When I still thought you were a bit of a dick,
And then you knew for sure after that.
and still I stayed. But the longer campaign, the Associates, yeah, that's Monster of the Week,
Mm-hmm.
and also for me, the very first game I played other than D&D. So
The Associates game that I ran.
no,
Okay, Monster of the Week you played before. Okay.
you're not in the center of the universe. No,
Well,
the
sometimes.
the the D&D campaign I was in, that's like 3 years and onwards, level 16 characters. At one point we had a moment where it was like, let's play something else for once. And Apolline, a friend of mine I mentioned before here, French artist, she
Yeah.
ran a one shot for us. So that was my first branching out into the wonderful universe of things not D&D, because
Except
that is a wonderful universe.
two things. One, for some reason, our captioner just thought that you said TARDIS, which I don't know what you said in there that was TARDIS, but that's hilarious. And actually, second is seconded and same, because Monster of the Week was likewise the first RPG that I played that wasn't D&D. I was introduced to it by my friend Sam, who was a coworker of mine, who, if you can picture how weird this is, back in my not so long ago attorney days, a bunch of lawyers at an office on lunch would go into the conference room and play tabletop RPGs together. So it was three lawyers, no, four lawyers, and the person who did our like shipping and fulfillment at the office, would sit together and play Monster of the Week, and the rest of the office thought we were the weirdest fucking people, which was true, in the world. But it was my first, yeah, stepping out into the wider world of TTRPGs, and it quickly became my favorite, and it still is my favorite. It's my favorite RPG, and it's
Well, then,
yeah. Go ahead.
no, that's just, I was just suggesting we should probably get the man who made this happen
Mm.
in here.
Well, I just wanted to add what I was going to
Mm.
say, one final plug. It's the reason why this channel exists. Monster of the Week, absolutely, is the reason this channel's
So
here.
what you're saying is it's Michael's fault.
I'm saying that anything that happens on this channel, Michael has full liability for, and it's all his fault. The reason we're here, it's Michael's fault, 100%.
He can't even defend himself. Come on, get
All right,
in.
let's bring the man in
Get
so he
him
can
in.
defend himself. All right, let's bring in our guest, Michael Sands. Hello, from a very different time zone. How you doing, Michael?
Hi, I'm doing good, thank you.
What
A bit
have
intimidated by all that stuff you just said.
what have you to say for yourself? Getting lawyers into TTRPGs? Can you live with that? Do you think it made the world a better
it seems
place?
pretty normal to me, actually. One of my long-time role-playing friends here is a lawyer. It just seems normal, yeah.
We need excitement in our lives sometimes, okay? The real world is boring. We have to make up fantasy worlds. It's the only way we get by.
Yeah.
Well, that just turned into sad real quick.
Crying is a free action. Come on.
Yeah. I think that is the appeal of role-playing games, though. I mean, it's a real chance to get away from all the boring stuff of the rest of your life. I think that's what's kept me in the hobby.
Is that how you started as well? Because we were just talking about a first sort of array into non-D&D or even RPGs.
I started when I was about 11 or 12, and my neighbors got a copy of the purple D&D set and invited me along to come and join in. So a real long time for me.
Was that the AD&D first edition one? Or...
No, just before then. It would have been about 1980, 1981,
oh, wow.
I think.
Oof.
Which I think in New Zealand, we got them all like a year or two behind everyone else. So it's a little bit delayed from when they came out in the rest of the world, but pretty early on.
You know, which is so strange because you're talking to us right now from the future.
No, I fucking hate that joke so much. I hate it so much.
Why do you think I do these things?
Anyway. But Monster of the Week, because we talked a little bit about before the stream, and we were talking a little bit about whether there's anything new coming up. Obviously, you have plenty of new projects, which we'll be happy to talk about as well. I was looking into the heavy Metal Aeons
I'm
thing
looking
earlier,
at it right
and
now.
I got
cool.
so excited.
It's super cool.
But was that the first big deal for you? Was that the first big TTRPG that came out? Because it's honestly, it might just be for me a little bit subjective here, but next to D&D, obviously, it's one of the big ones that I see all over the place.
Yeah, it's definitely got quite popular, but it was kind of a slow build because, I mean, my first crowdfunding for the original edition was like 250 people backed it, which I regarded as a huge success at the time. And then kind of as that started to, sell mainly via PDF, eventually Fred Hicks from Evil Hat got hold of a copy and played it and really enjoyed it. So he got in touch with me and talked about getting a version in partnership with them to get into distribution and get it into game stores and all that sort of thing, because it was all print on demand and PDF before that. And then so that came out. That was obviously a big boost. And then when the Adventure Zone played it, that kind of was another huge grab, like got a lot of people hearing about it. And since then, I think it's just kind of been building up. I don't know if it just kind of hit a critical mass of people who'd known about it now, but it seems to be doing pretty well, which is great. And I think maybe, especially over the past year, maybe it's partly that it's quite a good one to play online because there's not too much fiddly stuff on maps that you have to deal with. So in these times of plague and everyone being stuck at home, I think maybe it's a particularly good one for that.
It's a fairly good one, I find, as well for complete TTRPG newbies. Which is partly why we named this episode after it. But obviously everyone talks about D&D, and we've been talking about that last episode as well, Colin. It is actually quite crunchy. 5e, even though it's simplified from previous versions, it still has a lot of different rules to think of, a lot of different
and exceptions to those
here.
rules.
Yes. Monster of the Week, I find, also out of most of the PbtA versions and hacks that I've seen, it's so quick and easy to play and start playing and get into it while still giving you plenty of options of customization of your characters, but doesn't do the paralysis of choice thing.
That's one of the things I really tried to make it build into it, especially because it grew out of me running a lot of convention games. So it's kind of built to be able to introduce it to people, sit down and play, make characters, and have a whole successful story in just 3 or 4 hours. And I think that kind of having that as the test bed of where it came to be means that it is easy to get into. At least if I've managed to successfully get my thoughts into words in the book.
Yeah, no
I would
doubt.
say so.
I think in particular, and I think this, we talked about this last week with Dan Fox from Spyhander, that the gatekeeper I always saw with Dungeons and Dragons was that character creation is actually quite complex in Dungeons and Dragons. There's a lot of moving parts, and you got to keep track of all these numbers and do all this math and shit before you even can get ready to play. Monster of the Week, you check boxes, and within 5 minutes, you're ready to play the game. And that it makes it hugely appealing when you're introducing it to people who've never played a TTRPG before.
Yeah, that's one of the things about Apocalypse World. I absolutely loved the moment I saw it, and one of the key reasons that Monster of the Week's an Apocalypse World hack is that, like coming across that game, which was just as it came out in 2011, it kind of did so many things that I was looking to do. Which was really cool.
Oh, so that's interesting. Did you have Monster of the Week in your brain as a game you wanted to do before you even came across Apocalypse World and decided you'd make this a PbtA game?
Yeah, it had been in development for a few years before then, with I think a couple of different major rules revisions, none of which quite worked well enough to go beyond a game that I was running. So I could run a game of it and it would be quite fun for everyone, but it hadn't reached that point of being able to hand it to someone else and let them successfully play it.
So is it totally was it basically like totally overhauled from when you decided to make it an Apocalypse World hack?
Pretty much. I think the things that remain from the old rules are luck. That was in the previous revision. And there was nothing kind of quite like that in Apocalypse World.
Yeah.
And that concept of monsters with weaknesses and that countdown for each mystery of what's going to happen, a lot of that was in there.
Well, I'm glad that the things that stuck around happen to be 3 of my favorite things for Monster of the Week, so that's awesome to hear.
The gleeful look you get every time someone uses luck is something else.
Go ahead, use it. I dare you. Yep. Use it all. Yeah, I'm actually
that's one of the fun bits.
I'm working on a PbtA hack game myself right now. I guess PbtA hack doesn't really make much sense, but I'm working on a PbtA game right now where we call our luck mechanic plot armor. Because that is basically, it's a get out of jail free card, but you only get so many before you die. You can't get that. And I love that. I love that mechanic. And if you ever if that still exists somewhere out in the ether, I would be very curious to see like the Monster of the Week Legacy edition from way back.
I don't know if there are still any documents from that far back, but honestly, I don't think there's much that would be interesting to get out of them. Like so much of it was improved by moving it to be an Apocalypse World hack that, I didn't feel much or any urge to go back and dig up more than what kind of went through in that original revision.
That is a happy day though, when you're just like, oh yeah, this is better.
Sign.
This is better. Yeah. No,
it was.
What was it? Was it still D6 based or?
I can't remember. I think it was still a pretty straightforward like dice roll system, because I don't have much desire to complicate those things. I think I like my designs to be easy for people to get into. So in general, like preferring even just 6-sided dice.
Yeah.
Just because everyone's got those
somewhere in your house, you could take the Monopoly
much
set.
Closer to everyone than everyone who's got a full polyhedral set. So I like to keep it simple too, because I'm not good enough at maths and statistics and probability to kind of be able to make anything very complicated that works.
That actually plays nicely into the question Pope asked earlier in chat, Pope World Build. When designing a playbook specifically, how much narrative versus play goes into said design?
Yeah. I have a bit of trouble with that question because I'm not sure I assume that means like narrative versus like more mechanical
That
kinds
was
of
my
stuff.
assumption as well. Yeah.
Because yeah, I don't narrative and play are the same thing for me. But yeah, if we're assuming it's narrative versus like the mechanical stuff, um, like a split, not maybe not a 50-50 split, but like a 60% narrative, 40% mechanical bonuses and things. I think is good. I'm probably, as I go on and develop more playbooks, tending more and more to more straightforward, like story and character type, like permissions and abilities rather than bonuses and things, just because I think ultimately they're more fun.
Yeah, and they make stuff
Yeah.
happen. They make
Yeah.
events happen in the world.
Yeah.
A lot of the playbooks have those great things. I mean, my favorite ability that
Yeah.
you wrote in yeah, but you would have written it's from the original one, is the I believe it's from the not the professional, it's the expert playbook. That's
Yeah.
the dark past feature. That
Oh, yep. Yep.
is, yeah, if you roll badly, you know what's going on, but you also know that sometime in your past you're responsible for what's happening right now. I
Yeah. Oh,
fucking love
that's
that
great.
ability. That's so great because
Yeah.
it gives you
Yeah.
both the benefit, you get information, but it also it enriches the world and it adds to the world something. It's a bit of a
Yeah.
pain as a GM because you have to come up with something on the fly of like how are you responsible for this, but it's
Oh, I always just ask the player.
oh yeah,
So
no,
that's how you
yeah,
deal with
you
that.
tell me, it's fine. Yeah, I think I came to it
It's
from a different perspective, but yeah, no, it's beautiful.
time travel. It's always time travel.
The answer's time travel.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's
But
lots of
yeah,
great
I
stuff
think
like that.
it's yeah, I think all those moves that are basically an open question for the player or the keeper to answer, I think they're the ones that kind of really enrich the game and give you new cool stuff to do. So yeah, as I say, the longer I go on, the more I'm getting interested in those ones much more than, you know, doing more damage or that sort of thing, you know.
Yeah, totally.
It's also that I think many people go into TTRPGs with the idea of having to have a fully fleshed character.
Yeah.
And having everything for their character set, their place in the world set. The way the moves are written, especially Monster of the Week, it's so interesting to see just how many things develop often in the second, third session of a longer campaign just because of the result of one of those moves that you then can
Yeah.
connect to something like the one you mentioned, Colin. But it almost feels like that is easing players into the don't worry about it.
Yeah,
You'll
it'll come
figure
out.
it out as you play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that play to find out what
Yeah.
happens ethos, right?
Yeah, and I was going to say it's exactly that because it's not just from the situation you have in play and not knowing where it's going to go, and you know, as opposed to all the kind of D&D adventures which are all mapped out with everything in every room listed. But also, I think for a character, I find it much more enjoyable if I kind of come in with a sketch of the character at the beginning of a game, and as you play, you just kind of find out who they are. It feels kind of more natural to me.
Well,
And
that's a great dovetail to our next question, actually, that we got from our friend
oh,
Rex.
it's so just
Yeah. So speaking of unexpected things happening, are there any worlds, creations, or other things that you've seen people make in the game that were happily unexpected?
Oh, I'm sure there are, but I'm not. I'm struggling to bring any to mind actually. Um, because one of the things is, you know, Monster of the Week was written quite a long time ago,
Yeah.
so I don't actually play it that much these days, which is a bit strange given how popular it's got now. Um, and yeah, so I don't have many recent examples. I must say I do enjoy. There's a Monster of the Week subreddit, and people are constantly posting awesome stuff there that's come up in their games or they've developed for it. So it's always a joy to kind of read that and see what people have developed.
Yeah, it's wild to see people take your creation and run with it into strange directions.
It's not even that, and it's more just the kind of using it as a foundation to do their own cool thing, really. Almost the same, I suppose. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, I've got one good example actually. I was thinking I did run a game, must have been probably a year and a half ago now, that was set locally around here, and I set up this big red herring of a research institute called Crypt,
Nice.
CRIPT, for the mystery, and it was very satisfying to see as the hunters investigated the situation. They found the person who had caused all the problems that were going on, who blamed this research institute for them, and immediately believed everything he said and went to break into the place. And I think they were going to burn it down before even finding out what was going on.
Took it and ran with it.
Yeah.
Fed a
So
line.
I always enjoy those sorts of things when you throw people a crazy possibility and just don't know what's going to happen, and watching it unfold.
Yeah,
it's always hilarious.
I do like the mysteries that are sort of set in or play into existing supernatural aspects and existing history in my case. But I'm, again, being in Scotland, and I'm a tour guide here, so I often talk about folklore and superstitions and Loch Ness monsters and kelpies and spirits and witches and all of that. Monster of the Week is such a comfortable system to put that in as well. So it's just a little playground.
Yeah, and I think it's always nice if you set it local to where you and your players are and build on whatever local folklore and places you have. I think it just makes it easier to get your head in there and do something fun.
And yes, Cadence, kelpies are real and nobody can tell me different.
How dare you call that folklore? That is offensive. I was actually dreaming up a Monster of the Week campaign driving home today from my mother's house. I got like an hour-and-a-half drive on a big long highway, and I don't listen to music very much these days, so I tend to just drive in silence, which is weird and uncomfortable. But it's all going on up here. I'm just thinking this.
We're gonna unpack that later, Colin.
We'll talk about that. Yeah. No, I was thinking. You just got me thinking of history, and I had an idea that I really want to do a Monster of the Week campaign that's set in 1582, specifically, and I want it to be October 5th, 1582, because that's a day that didn't happen. It never existed, because that's when we switched to the common calendar. Yep. So it went from October 4th to October 13th. It was Thursday, October 4th, and then Friday, October 15th. So I wanted to do some kind of like alternative universe Monster of the Week campaign that's set on October 5th, 1582, and like what the hell happened in that invisible time. So that's right. I'm saying it out loud now, so I have to do it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna mark that down for the associates. Dips.
Going to 1580. That might be a streamed campaign. I was looking at, we got something to replace once Estate ends, so maybe the 1582 campaign. All right, we're gonna wait for some more questions to come in, but I wanted to ask you about the way that you structure mysteries in Monster of the Week is extremely intuitive to me. It's something that I have in my own work shamelessly copied because I just think it works. In the game that I'm working on right now, that's PbtA, we use a similar structure for the way that we call them quests, but we're using a similar structure where instead of like the way the countdown timer works in yours kind of just goes, it's just bad to worse until it devours the whole world oftentimes, and that's kind of the structure we're working with. I'm curious, like where you got that from. Was that your own invention from your own from like things you did in your own games or something, or what was the impetus behind it?
Well, Apocalypse World did have the idea of countdowns and clocks that would slowly get worse.
The harm tracker.
It also talked about using them for when something bad was going to happen, you'd put out a clock and slowly fill it in. So there's a bit from there.
Yeah, Blades in the Dark.
The rest of it, and the rest of it just came from watching like way too much Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Supernatural and the X-Files and Fringe and all of those shows.
That did kind of answer my question, really, which is what were you watching when you were making this?
Yeah, because it's just like watching those formulas of that 40 minutes of mystery starting from something bad is happening, then, the hunters finding out all the terrible things that are going to happen and stopping it, right? Which is exactly what Monster of the Week is.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's just kind of trying to distill that formula into something that works in a game.
And it works. It totally works. I almost always start them, by the way, every Monster of the Week mystery I've ever done, because I've run several now from the Tome of Mysteries, which I absolutely love. There's so much great stuff in here, and this thing's a treasure trove. Not just the mysteries, which are great, but the new playbooks and the advice that's in the front of this. Like, this is an absolute, like, if you run this game, you should absolutely get the Tome of Mysteries. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with that. Yeah. I actually think the great strength of it is that because it kind of grew out of fans posting stuff on Google Plus, and mainly when that still existed.
Google Plus, wow.
And other places on the internet.
Oof, this was a while ago.
And kind of, one of the authors who posted quite a lot of it, Mark Tiger, was actually the one who got in touch with me to talk about kind of collecting up a bunch of stuff for this. So that's his fault. But I think if I'd written another book that was like my words of advice and new optional rules and a bunch of adventures I'd written, it would have been nowhere near as good as getting all these different people from around the world who've been playing their own games and coming up with their own different ideas. I think that's the true strength of it, is that it's such a lot of different viewpoints behind everything. Really makes it incredibly useful.
Yeah, it's reminds me of Linus Torvalds, who created Linux, the Linus's law that enough eyes makes all problems trivial eventually. If you have enough,
I think so.
Iron out the kinks and we'll create something better and more playable and different perspectives too, as you said. We'll absolutely accomplish that goal.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's ideas in there that I would never have had myself. There's no way I could have come up with all those mysteries and creatures.
Yeah, so actually, that's that sort of dovetails into our last question before, something that came up for example, in collaborating the Tome of Mysteries. Was there one of the playbooks or one of the adventures that stood out to you? Was like, wow, that's brilliant, and I never would have thought of
it. Several. Let me.
Got one right there.
The Curse Speech is one.
Great mystery. Great mystery.
I just when I first read it, I was blown away. I love the movie Monster Mayhem as well. That's always hilarious.
The Quiet is a great one. That's a brilliant mystery.
That's see, I like Heartbreak Blues too. That's so melancholy and awesome.
Yeah, I almost ran just a couple weeks ago. I was considering that one. I ran Haunting at the Old Grand. That's what my players don't know.
That's great too. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, most of them, because one of the things I remember actually when I did the call for if you've got some stuff and you'd like to consider it being included in a collection, and I kind of got a big pile of things that people emailed me, and every single one was great. There was nothing bad. And I was kind of it was actually on a Christmas holiday, and I'd printed out everything that had been sent so I could take it with me and go over it while I was on holiday.
So you can work on vacation.
And well, those days I had a office job as well, so I couldn't do it the rest of the time.
Fair.
But yeah, so I took these away expecting half of these will not be good, right? That was kind of what I went in. But like I say, every single one I was like, that's awesome. And that's what turned into Tome of Mysteries. So you can see that the quality was there. And the stuff people were doing.
Are you telling me, Mr. Sands, that there may be enough leftover material for a Tome of Mysteries 2?
No, I think everyone who sent me stuff then is in there. That is the Tome of Mysteries.
Wow.
All that initial set of contributions.
Wow, you really struck gold.
I did, yeah. It's yeah.
Are there any, because I know you said you are moving on to new projects, and by all means, because there's only so much you can, so many times you can bet on a winning horse, but are Are there plans for doing more collections like that for mysteries or for new
The
sheets?
the one thing I can tease that will be coming at some point for Monster of the Week is I've been working myself and with one of the contributors from Time of Mysteries working on some like campaign starter type documents for Monster of the Week. So I won't talk about the other persons because that's still all very vague and in draft form. But the ones I've been working on, there's going to be one called The Strange Old House, which is basically the hunters all inherit a weird house, and it's all about exploring the mysteries of that. So a bit like Lock and Key, or any of the many Lovecraft stories where the protagonist inherits a spooky house.
There is a lot of
and
those
bad
for
things
some reason,
happen.
but yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot of property law
basically
in Lovecraft.
capture that. Yeah. So basically, so you set that up as the beginning of your campaign, and exploring the house and finding the secrets in it becomes a part of it, as well as regular mysteries. And I've got a couple of others that are slightly less developed. One of them is basically Monster of the Week in the Stone Age.
Ooh, yes.
So that one's more of a just changing around the playbooks to be appropriate to that time. The rest of it stays much the same, and even more embryonic, like famous hunter lineage campaign starter. So like the Winchester family in Supernatural, basically a thing like that sets up your hunter team at the beginning. So all of these are basically like a way to get your campaign started and kind of push you in a certain direction and get you that way, which I think that's a bit different and a bit more interesting for me to write. And also, I think it's something that we don't kind of have at the moment. And people are always looking at playing Monster a Week in different settings and different time periods and things like that. So I think this will be a kind of nice toolbox for people to work from, doing their own thing like that.
Colin's wearing the right shirt for that sort of supernatural Winchester family thing.
I wish I could say I did this on purpose, but the truth is I'm just from upstate New York, and this is what we wear. That is interesting, though. You said like a campaign starter, because one thing Monster of the Week really doesn't have at present is, the mysteries are set up to be short, episodic.
Yeah.
We have a joke around here that they're meant to be played as one-shots, but they never are, because I take too long to do everything when I'm the GM.
That's specific to you,
Yeah,
Colin.
that's me.
Plenty of people I know have managed to actually play them as one-shots. You're not one of them.
Michael, do you play them as one-shots? Most of the mysteries? Are they single
Almost
session?
always, yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. That said, I have to say that my regular group, who have been meeting every second Monday night for many, many years, we tend to race through everything. So I don't think we're a good benchmark for anything. We tend to just blast through whatever we're playing at high speed.
There's a mystery. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It was I'm very sorry to the author. I can't recall his name right now. I can look it up, and I'll definitely tag it, drop it before this is over. But there's a great Monster of the Week mystery out there called Wrath of the Pumpkin King that I ran.
I think I've seen the name, but I don't think I've read it.
It's utterly brilliant, and I ran it. Streamed on another channel here, and it's it's a Monster of the Week mystery, so I guess nominally it's supposed to be a one-shot. It took me 4 sessions to get through it because I'm just slow.
The funniest thing, and I'm going to continue the call out with your permission, Colin.
Oh, sure,
and
hit me.
Chat's permission is he played it twice. He did a test game for it with me and some other of our friends, just knowing that he would never be able to run it in one, just seeing how he could condense it and then play the one on stream. I think the stream one did you manage to do it in 2 episodes?
No, I did it in 3. The off stream one, it took me 4 sessions off stream to do it, and then I did it in 3 on stream. The gentleman's name is Mikhail Aristov, and it was a It's my favorite Monster League mystery. I think it's one of the best written ones I've ever seen. It's brilliant. But I'm just slow, and I like to. I love my players, and I love their characters, and I like to hear them talk. I just like, I'm fascinated to just hear them talk, so I let them go. I'm saying I'm slow because I love you.
Nice turnaround, but also yes, I don't actually, for the record, mind a mystery being 2, 3, 4 sessions rather than a one shot. It's just become a running gag on this channel.
It totally has.
But like I say, my group are not like that. There's very little talking in our role-playing games. It's like, okay, what do we do next? Who do we have to smash? What do we have to work out?
It's the pro players of Phasmophobia. Set everything up. Just insult the ghost several times. Yes, Rex, this time I'm calling you out in chat.
Meanwhile, I'm walking around asking the ghost what their favorite color is, because I want to get to know them before I banish them from the house. I like to make a relationship with my supernatural entities,
I don't think we talked about favorite stories, favorite mysteries. Rex also asked what your favorite character sheet, or what your favorite playbook in this case is, if you can choose between all your babies, because that is always difficult.
I'm still a huge fan of the Searcher that I wrote for Time of Mysteries. I just think that came out really well, and I still want to play more of them. I've played like 2 one-shot games where I got to be one, but that's all. So I'd like to give that a real full run through.
That's one I have not. I have not played the Searcher yet. I have nor had one in one of my campaigns.
But there are so many good playbooks, and I mean, I've read that that this was your goal, in the sense of, make everything, for every single playbook you want a potential player to go, oh, that's so cool. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, I want to play that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That was precisely my reaction to all of them.
My favorite, my favorite, just because it's weird, is the Pararomantic from Tome of Mysteries.
Yeah, that's great.
It's so fucking weird, and I adore it. It's awesome. And the relationship tracker built in, it's like there's luck, and then they also have that, so they're kind of doubly doomed, which my personality, I love that. So,
was that playbook pre or post Twilight?
What was the inspiration?
Post, definitely. It was Twilight. Yeah.
Okay.
No, but when
I actually wasn't expecting that answer. I don't know why.
No, it's because I thought so, but then I was like, oh, hold on.
Yeah, no. Sorry, I'm just reminding myself of the other. Oh, Mikhail. Yeah. When he presented it, I was like, of course, there needs to be a supernatural romance playbook. There's got to be,
It's massive oversight. Gotta have this.
Yeah. So it seemed pretty natural. But it was definitely post Twilight. But I mean, that's in Buffy too, right? So
totally.
It should have been there earlier.
Just with more depth and character development.
Well, yes.
Like the Buffy Angel relationship.
And Buffy Spike.
Even there.
And Buffy Spike. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's one of my favorite episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Might be my favorite one, when Willow gets cursed so that everything she says comes true. Remember that? And she's like, she says,
why don't you just get married?
Why don't you just get married? So then Spike and Buffy are getting married. Oh, it's hilarious. It's so funny.
Yeah.
They had good chemistry.
I did want to ask you about some of the specific inspirations for some of the playbooks. Because, I got my Monster of the Week fix. I was never a Supernatural fan. But Buffy the Vampire Slayer, hell yes. X-Files, hell yes. I devoured that shit. And I was curious about what some of your points of reference were for some of these. So, like, let's start with your favorite one, like The Searcher.
That was really the lone gunman from X-Files.
Mm-hmm.
And the characters in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, like that, like regular person who's been exposed to weirdness and has to find out more about it. That's where that one came from.
Yeah,
I think you see a smattering of those characters in other shows and things too.
Yes.
But I think those are the main ones.
Yeah, Lone Gunman, my brain always went to, and I definitely think it was an inspiration for the two, but the Flake from the original book.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They were definitely an inspiration for that too. But I think the Searcher kind of captures a different aspect of that same idea. Hopefully different enough to be interesting.
Yeah, I'll have to play. Like I said, I still have not played the Searcher, so I'm gonna have to try this now. Now that I know it's your favorite, I gotta check it out.
The Flake, because that Flake was the first one I played in Abilene's game.
And
that
Flake
always
was
seemed
the
a little
first one
bit
I
more
played.
frantic. Aww.
Yeah.
It seemed a bit more frantic. Seemed a bit more like that. What's it? The Charlie Day.
Yeah, it's
thing,
the Charlie.
the
Yeah,
Oh,
like
yeah.
putting yarn together on a board and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're.
Yeah, I think the Flake's more the person who knows about the weirdness and wants to investigate it, but also can't really cope with it. Or anything else, maybe.
I think the Flake to me is the conspiracy theorist who happens to be right about this one thing. But I always played the Flake as someone who believes tons of crazy bullshit, most of which is not true. But it just so happens when it comes to supernatural stuff, they got it right.
Pretty normal in my experience. Yeah.
I mean, they have a move, called, like, see, it all fits together. Like, that's exactly, it's the government, man.
Yeah, I kind of sometimes wonder if they should actually have to point to their big corkboard when they use that one.
Let's see. The Professional was. I guess the Professional was definitely some X-Files inspiration there, right? That was some.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also the Initiative in Buffy.
The Initiate.
The Initiative with
the Initiative.
Making
Riley
Adam.
and the paramilitary chaps. Yeah.
Man, fuck Riley. Sorry, I have strong feelings about that dude.
I'm not going to argue with that about that, but I still think that the concept can work into the game.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, this is absolutely not. This is very much has nothing to do with the topic. I'm working through it.
What about the Initiate? Because that's got a flavoring of Buffy in it, but also Buffy's got some massive The Chosen overtones too.
Yeah.
So.
The Initiate, there's a little bit of the Watchers Council in there.
Yeah, that's what I thought of. Yeah.
But no, that one's not so much from a particular piece in those shows, but more just the idea of an ancient monster hunting society that knows what's going on. I'm sure there are examples in fiction, but I'm not. Well, actually, the recent ones, if you watch the extremely over-the-top Netflix show Warrior Nun, that kind of did that.
Not.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah.
Great.
So that's... So I'll just pretend that I predicted that, and that's what I'm basing it on.
You're very, very prescient, as it turned out.
I will testify on your behalf if necessary.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No.
Oh, the Mundane is just Xander, right? Is that basically?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
My
favorite.
And Shaggy.
Yes. I particularly love the fact that they basically get like mechanical bonuses for getting themselves in trouble, which is perfect.
Yeah. Well, they have to, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. What could go wrong? Yeah. Or the fact. I mean, this is actually the playbook that made me fall in love with Monster of the Week. The first time I was looking through playbooks and deciding what I want to do, I'm like, there's a move in here called "Don't worry, I'll check it out." It's fucking brilliant. I just adore that.
Yeah. No, the moment I figured out that was the name for that, I knew that was absolutely right.
Yeah. It worked. It totally worked. And finally, the Wronged. What was your point of reference there?
The Winchester's father, whose name just completely evades me now.
John, I think.
It's also a little bit of Dean Winchester, but I could never quite pin the Winchesters down to one, especially as the series went on and they got more powers and lost them and gained them different ones and so
died
on.
and came back a few times.
Yeah.
Well, we'll just end at season 5. Accept the French mistake as a stroke of brilliance and Balthazar. But again, we're not here to talk about the TV shows. We'll be here for a week. But
there's also a bit of Fox Mulder has a bit of the Wronged in him. What with the plot line with his sister.
That's true. Yeah. There's definitely
that actually just occurred to me.
Yeah. I think there and I can't remember her name. There's a teacher in Buffy, Miss Calendar.
Rip.
I think she had that too, right?
Oh, she had a bad death, didn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, she had a
real
really
bad.
tragic death. Yes, this is coming back. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, Giles.
But her
Roses
background was
and-
also
yeah.
like terrible things have happened to you, and now you've got to kind of do this.
Yeah, and then Angel's gonna kill you. Yeah, okay. I remember now.
Spoilers.
Sorry.
I don't think we need a spoiler for, was it like 18 years ago?
That was like 1999. If you haven't seen it by now, get your shit together.
Is it 18 years already?
It's probably, it might be more than
Something
that.
like that. It
Don't-
could be, yeah.
What, Buffy started 98 or 97?
Yeah.
Throw my back
I know
out
it was
just hearing
running
this.
99, 2000, but yeah, I don't remember when it ended. Yeah.
I think
But,
it went like 03 or 04, yeah. Sorry, people, spoilers, but go watch Buffy. It's available on somewhere. I don't remember what streaming service has it now.
Ooh, next thing we're gonna do on Colin's server with the watch party is a rewatch of Buffy.
Oh, shit, you know. As
Yes.
soon as the theme song plays, you'll be pumped. It's the howl.
Speaking
Uh,
of,
I just got reminded of a great moment about early 2000s. We saw the Breeders live, and they played the theme song towards the end of the show. It was fantastic.
This makes you want to punch something and howl at the moon.
speaking of blaring guitar riffs, you do have an interesting sort of collection or project themes that you've been working on, from Monster of the Week to the Stone Age community with Three Dooms and now Heavy Metal Aeons. Is it just basically, do what you love and turn it into a project? And is that sort of personal interests you're going for?
That's exactly it. It's when what gets me writing a game is when I'm like, I want to play a game and I kind of know what it is, but I can't find one to buy. So
I want to play a game, but it doesn't exist yet. So
Fine,
so that's
do
where
it
they come
myself.
from.
if you want it done right,
So Monster of the Week was because I kind of wanted to play that monster hunting style, and I looked at what was around, and nothing seemed quite right. So I ended up doing that. Heavy Metal Aeons, the same deal, because there is actually a few kind of heavy metal inspired games that have come out recently or are coming out, but again, they're all slightly different takes than what I want. So I've kind of come up with my own version of that.
yeah, we just did Morkborg on this channel a couple weeks ago, which is a great game. I'm looking at.
It looks pretty cool.
It's really cool, and the artwork's beautiful. It's a great book. I'm looking at Heavy Metal Aeons right now, and I can tell it's a very you're going for a very different kind of feel from that.
Yeah, it's very much a kind of Metal Hurlant, Mebius comics style science fantasy craziness.
Yeah, well,
yeah,
and you have playtest materials, so guess what we're playing on this channel, fan?
Actually, don't grab those ones because they're quite out of date. I'm currently like right in the middle of revising everything into a brand new quick start playtest thing. So why don't I make... I'll promise you that I'll send you a copy of it when it's done, and that will give me even more of an incentive to actually get it finished quickly.
See, that's
been a big problem.
This is my technique. This is my technique. You say it on stream, people hear it. Now you have to do it. So
yeah, no, I'm fully on board with that. An extra impetus to get it finished is all good as far as I'm concerned, because I'm right in the middle of a very boring section of like painstakingly going through the wording of every sentence and revising them. So anything that helps me get to the end will be great.
Get to see it.
I think we've got what's the deadline? When our One Shot Sundays free next? We're booked up till
let's
mid-March.
see. One Shot Sundays open up. We don't have anything scheduled. The first day there's nothing scheduled is March 21st.
So that's your imaginary deadline.
It's possible I will have something by then. Yeah, that's as firmly as I'm prepared to promise.
You don't have to sign in blood, but I would love to play it because it looks right up my alley.
Yeah, it's very much designed for quick one shots too. So should be quite nice for that.
Perfect.
I will just have to find some music that we can play copyright free in the background that is heavy metal enough, but doesn't actually get us.
Yeah.
Alexander
Caught on
Nakarada
YouTube.
from Serpent Sound Studios got a whole heavy metal. It's got a heavy metal Christmas album that's badass. But other than that, he's got also some epic heavy metal that's perfect. So we are
Yeah.
we are deuces there. Don't you worry.
Cool. Oh, I will see what I can do about getting that revised and finished into you.
Please.
And for Three Dooms, because that's just personal interest here, because I always, when I hear historically inspired TTRPGs or historically inspired anything, people tend to have a couple of places to go to. It's always sort of late medieval Renaissance. Or it's American Revolution recently with Flames of Freedom. Stone Age is not something I hear very often. So I'm just wondering where that interest came from, or what made you go.
I've just always
into
kind
that
of been
direction.
fascinated by those times. Like, you know, what was it like living before kind of any real technology beyond what you could make from stones and wood, and also, I mean, Three Dooms is just in the beginning of civilization, like where you're just beginning to build towns and live that way. But I think that transition of humanity, of moving from kind of hunter-gathering to agricultural and settled life, I just think it's a really fascinating time to think about. And so, yeah, that my fascination with what it would have been like to live then is where that came from.
The first time someone says, "No, let's just stay here. Actually, we don't have to follow the herds.
Yeah.
Let's just chill. This is fine." It would have been a strange time to be alive. What I was fascinated with that from a supernatural angle, depending on what you want to do thematically with that, what always fascinates me, and what I think maybe if I were to run that game, what I would find fun to do is, I always imagined how wild it would be to put yourself in the shoes of someone from that time, in the way that natural phenomenon that we totally understand now would have been insane. Like trying to explain a solar eclipse. If you were, at the time of the Neolithic Revolution and seeing a solar eclipse, what you would think had just happened. Like, the sun just went out. What the fuck is going on? And that makes for cool themes. I mean, that's just like, your world is very terrifying, actually. It's a very fearful world because you don't understand anything about it.
Yeah, no, it's exactly the sort of thing I was thinking about when I was writing it. And the event cards that you draw as you play, I tried to write them to suggest supernatural explanations for things as well as natural ones, but not come down on either side. So you can try and get a bit into that mindset of people who don't really know what drives the world,
Yeah. Oh, that's really fascinating. Yes, this is another one I have to try. You're giving me so much to think about here.
Colin doesn't need much in terms of poking to get himself
Yeah, it's true. It'll be on the shelf.
story-based games.
Don't you worry. I'm just looking at the playbooks, though, for Heavy Metal Aeons, and they're so cool. I mean, yeah, I want to be a
I had a lot of fun making those.
Yeah, hell yeah. Dude, y'all, one of the playbooks for this is Sapient Weapon. You can just be a living sword. How fucking cool is that?
Yeah.
I also love that you took the time, every playbook has an armor section that shows like a little kind of like Vitruvian man that shows where you're armored, what you're wearing, where you're hit.
Yeah.
And then
that bit's gone, I'm afraid.
Oh, is that gone?
It's no longer in there.
Alas.
Yeah. No, it's been steadily getting kind of more and more streamlined for fast play. So kind of lots of bits and pieces of fiddliness have been removed.
I was going to say how cool it is, though, that the sapient weapon just replaces that with a picture of a fucking sword that has...
That was fun, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
But no, sadly, that was kind of added too much complexity for what you got from it, if that makes sense.
No, totally, yeah. Is this... If the overriding concern is this fun? And if it's not... If it's detracting more fun than it's adding, then, it has to go. But it is what it is. Man, and there's a lot in here, though. You can always
play RuneQuest if you want to get that back.
I'm sorry, Lydia.
Well, I'm going to be a mystic cat and nothing can stop me.
I was just looking at that. Is that a
Mystic
playbook
cat
option? That is a
Dog
playbook
of War.
option.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. Dude. This is so
I will
cool.
find heavy metal versions of Cats the musical songs and
Oh god, it's out there somewhere, isn't it?
That one is purely inspired by the video for Asleep in the Deep by Mastodon, which
to look
shows
that
a
up.
puppet cat going on a quest.
I have to look that up now.
I would love to show that to you, audience, but alas, copyright is a thing. But
Yeah. Well, you can all Google it.
what was the name of the song?
Asleep in the Deep, I think.
Mastodon. I'm gonna
Yeah.
drop a link in our chat for
It's
those
a
of you who are
hilarious
curious.
video. It's
Yep,
great.
that's the one. That is a cat. All right. Gonna drop a link in chat for those of you who want to understand the inside of Michael's brain. There you go. Take a look at Sleep in the Deep by Mastodon to learn about the Mystic Cat playbook. Beautiful. Let me drop a link in there.
Yeah, and you'll be pleased to know that although I have changed many rules and changed things, all the playbooks are still there. So
Oh, good. Mystic Cats are still an option.
you can still be a cat. Yep.
It's
I'm
all right.
happy. I'm
You knew I was looking
content.
at you. Okay. You're content?
Yes, you were. You were. If I could purr, I would.
Let me scroll up here.
What are the games that you've been that you're playing at the moment? I mean, when you're making them, I'm always
Yeah.
wondering if game creators are always and exclusively playing their own stuff, or
Nope, definitely not. So I got to do quite a bit of variety recently because of New Zealand's state of basically having no COVID at the moment. We actually got to have our in-person convention in Wellington this year.
Wow.
A few weeks ago, which was nice. So we had like 150 people in the same place, which was pretty exciting.
Rub it in, why don't you?
I'm fully aware how lucky we are here. Don't worry. But I got to play a good variety of things there. Some Unknown Armies 3rd edition, which was good fun. I playtested Heavy Metal Aeons, which was also fun and worked as it was intended to. Some Fall of Magic, which I absolutely love. I don't know if you've come across that one.
No, I'm not familiar.
It's by Ross Cowman, and it's a game you play. There's a scroll with a map on it, and you travel across the map and unroll it as you play, and it's absolutely amazing.
So that really only
always
works in
seems to-
person, huh?
I think there is an online playset for it as well,
Yeah,
which you
you
can
can
pull into Roll20.
Oh, Roll20 you could reveal.
I haven't tried it. Yeah. Something along those lines anyway. But yeah, that's all. That's great fun. What else? Some Agon, which I've been enjoying.
Agon,
I've played a few games of that.
We just played that. We our one shot this last weekend was Agon.
Oh, yep.
It's brilliant.
And last week with my regular group, we tried the Storm Furies playset based on it, which is taking the Agon rules and basically turning it into a kind of Battlestar Galactica inspired fighter pilot story, which that was pretty fun too.
Yeah, I saw there's one now because I just saw that they're licensing that out now. I think they're calling it the Paragon system. Based on that.
Yeah.
And there's one called Sagas.
Yeah, this
that's like Norse.
Yeah.
Changes it to Norse mythology and stuff. So lots of good options.
Yeah, the Storm Furies is John Harper's. I know Sean Nittner's released a kind of Transformers style one too, and I've seen there are a few others popping up. So yeah, I'm very interested to see what happens in that. Let's see what else. My group is also about to get back into our massive epic campaign of the One Ring, which we've been playing on and off for some years, working our way through their Mirkwood campaign, which is like a 40-year story. Damn. So we're like 3/4 of the way through that, but we kind of tend to play a bit until it reaches a natural break and then do something else because we're all a bit burned out on it. But I think we're all looking forward to jumping back into the next stage of that story as well.
How many years have you been running that?
We were trying to work it out when we were talking the other week, and we think 4 or 5, might be 6.
Literally time immemorial. You cannot remember.
Yeah. Because it's long, and that is one you cannot get through a whole adventure every session.
I'm not alone. All right.
So, yeah. There's a lot of talking, a lot of big epic fights, and a lot of traveling across the countryside in that game. As you'd expect.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Even a bit of poetry and singing.
Oh, good. Yes. This is very This fits. This absolutely fits the genre and everything it needs to be. So that's perfect.
Yeah, no, they did a great job with that one.
What was your
Yeah. So.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say that's what I've been playing recently. So.
And that's all with your your Monday night group, you said? Mostly,
yeah. I've done a few one-shots with other people recently, actually, particularly when we were in lockdown here, which we didn't escape from. I did quite a few online with friends of mine who are in different cities and that sort of thing. So, yeah. But yeah, mostly I play with that one group.
What were you playing, and what were your when you were making Monster of the Week, beside Apocalypse World, was there anything else that you were drawing from when you were making the game?
We'd just finished playing a really long Trail of Cthulhu campaign. And that factored in quite a bit, because as I got to the end of that, I became quite dissatisfied with how the Gumshoe system handled investigation stories. Like it's quite an interesting idea, and we enjoyed it for a while, but we kind of reached a point where we felt like it wasn't bringing what we wanted from that style of game. So I think that Monster of the Week is partly like trying to do something very different to that.
So the way that the investigative mystery skill works in Monster of the Week was inspired by doing something different from Gumshoe? Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you're familiar with Gumshoe.
I haven't played a Gumshoe game yet. I was just looking at the rules the other day.
Yeah, because basically how that works is you've got a selection of skills for each character, which is what they're good at investigating. And essentially, when you're in a situation with clues, the simple to find and crucial clues just get found by the person with the appropriate skill. And you can kind of spend your points to find out more details about them, which, it works. It means you can kind of discover the clues and move the story along. But I kind of realized playing it that wasn't the part of investigation stories that fascinated me. You see what I mean?
So what did? Yeah, what was the part that more fascinated you?
I think it was that move to the playing to find out, like not knowing what's going to happen, but just seeing how events unfold based on initial situation. I think, part of the thing I've always thought with Monster of the Week is, although you play a mystery and you've got the investigative mystery skill, that's partly because the finding the clues isn't very important. It's what you do with that information and how that impacts what's happening is the bit that's really important. So it's more about providing a way to give the hunters everything that they need to know, and then let them work out what to do with it. That makes sense?
Yeah, that's interesting though, because there was, is it in Tome of Mysteries? It might be in Tome of Mysteries. Of the sort of revision of the investigative mystery skill.
There's like the more generic version of it. Yeah.
Was that just from player feedback?
Yeah, I think there are some people who want it to be a little less set what's going to happen. So that was basically to provide an option for people who wanted something a bit more flexible and able to be kind of used in that style of play. And I'm not sure, it's not quite getting to the same thing as the Gumshoe one, but more just kind of having it a bit more open to each group's interpretation of what's happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I certainly encountered that a few times with players of like, well, you know, what I want to find out doesn't really fit any of these questions. So
Yeah,
what do I do?
it's exactly for that problem. Yeah,
Yeah.
of when people can't figure out how to get their question into those categories.
Yeah. And speaking of flexibility, the other thing that I was interested in the Tome of Mysteries did was the revision to the use magic move that was incorporated with the alternative use magic moves that you did. So, like, two questions on that. First, was it your intention in the original setting of MotW Week that everyone can just do magic? Was that the plan?
Yes.
That's
Absolutely.
That's interesting.
Yeah, just like in Buffy, everyone can cast a spell when they need to finish the episode, you know?
Right, yeah. I guess I just always looked at it differently, because it's like, when I think of Buffy, yeah, like, normies can cast spells, but, you know, normally it's like in a very kind of ritualistic way, it seems to be. Like, they, you know, sit down and light some candles and do some chanting. And, you know, you have a playbook, obviously, called the Spell Slinger, who are people who can just do stuff on the fly. But, like, with... So is that your intention, though? Like, you were looking at use magic as, for most people, it's like, we have to sit down and do some chanting and read some books. And stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, that's why the requirements that the keeper can add suggest those sorts of things, you know, that it's going to take time or you're going to need people to help you. And that's so that, if it makes sense, that it could be that kind of ritual thing. But also, you know, certain characters, you know, the more mystically inclined or strange characters, you know, maybe they've got mind powers that work without all of those things some of the time. So it's again, supposed to be flexible. So everyone can use it, but like what it looks like when different characters use it could be very different.
Yeah, okay. That helps me actually in future games about how I can explain that to people. Because I have had players that were confused by that of, you know, like, this person's a spell slinger, but I can do magic too? Why? And actually that makes a lot of sense the way you put it, that if I think of it in Buffy terms, that works. Yeah.
And if you look at like the spell slinger as someone who's so good at magic, they can do things other people can't. And the spooky and some of the others that have magic abilities are like that too. They can do something extra, but yeah, everyone can do those baseline things.
Yeah. Okay, that makes a hell of a lot more sense than I never thought of it that way. But then you did, of course, open it up with Tome of Mysteries to the alternative weird moves, which are fucking cool. And particularly weird science is my favorite. I love weird science. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Likewise, was that a player feedback thing?
Partly, but it's also it was basically to open it up to different styles of play. So if you want to go for like something more like Fringe, where everything's like weird science and psychic powers, and no one's like casting spells from spell books. So that gives you the tools to kind of go, okay, we're having more of a weird science game with strange physics, rather than mystical secrets from long ago. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Or some mixture of all of them.
It worked brilliantly. Like I said, my first character was a flake. So like when I saw the weird science alternate move, I was like, yes, that's perfect. You do some weird MacGyver shit and make some strange creations that blow up in his face most of the time. But it absolutely worked. That was a very good turn. I really enjoyed the way, and it's just it's one of the things I love about your system, though. It's very open to that kind of. I mean, it's based on PbtA, of course. I mean, it's based on Apocalypse World, which is infinitely hackable, and the game itself, Monster of the Week, is infinitely hackable. It's not that hard to come up with new things for it to reskin.
Yeah, all I can do is, you know, say I copied what Vincent Baker wrote in Apocalypse World about that. It's, I can't really claim any credit. I just kind of followed his guidelines.
And it worked.
That's a nice thing about TTRPGs in general. The various ways of benevolently stealing from each other always still create something new, new enough. I'm not a copyright lawyer, so I don't know the ins and outs of that, but it feels like there is a sort of shared understanding of look, we all
Oh,
kind of stole from our favorite
no,
pop culture, our favorite media, so the exchange is a little bit more there.
It's more explicit than that. Vincent in Apocalypse World actually invited people to hack the game, and I've communicated with him about it when I was developing Monster of the Week, and he's excited that people are taking his ideas and doing new things with them, and was very happy to give me permission to, copy the chunks of text that I copied directly into my game. So and I'm the same with people building stuff for Monster of the Week. It's if someone wants to take what I've made and build their own thing on top of it, that's fantastic as far as I'm concerned.
It's great to hear you say that, because that's exactly what I'm doing right now. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, I've actually on my website there's a third-party policy, and it essentially just says, if you want to make something based on or for use with Monster of the Week, you can just say it's for use with Monster of the Week, and note down that bit of credit. So yeah, I don't believe in trying to lock down letting other people make stuff to go with it. It's that's quite foreign to how I think about things.
Yeah, it would be boring if it was completely proprietary. But
I think also role-playing all along has been all about people like homebrewing and customizing and doing their own thing, like right from the very beginning. And it's the companies that try and rigorously license and prohibit people from using their or even making stuff to go with their games. It seems very counterproductive and not really in keeping with how creative stuff works.
Yeah, and in a world of gaming where things are so often based on theater of the mind, and
yeah,
it doesn't make sense to limit the creativity of game masters and players to use this to make something else. I mean, you can use Monster of the Week, and I have to do things that aren't even really Monster of the Weeky type stories. It's all how you flavor these playbooks, and if you want to take the flavor you've applied and codify it, so to speak, down into an actual written playbook, why the hell not? It'll work.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Because everyone has their own happy place, and it feels like that's what we're all trying to create for ourselves. So why stop anyone else from trying to do the same thing?
Yeah.
There's a lot of oh, I found this exciting thing, let's share it with everyone else attitude. Obviously you have your black sheep, as you always do, but the nerd community in general is often a little bit more, well,
yeah,
in that regard anyway, a little bit more willing to share.
Yeah, and definitely in role-playing there's a few kind of sub-communities of the role-playing hobby that are very pro-sharing, and I think like Powered by the Apocalypse and other stuff that came out of the Forge is one of those, and a lot of the OSR community as well seems very good about sharing and remixing and doing a lot of cool stuff. And a lot of the people on Itch as well these days.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
Still going through that bundle.
Oh, there's so many. You're gonna be going through that for the rest of your life. But there's a lot of great stuff in there. If anyone out there didn't get the bundle, you're missing out. Both on contributing to a great cause and the fact that the games in there kick ass. There's so much good stuff.
You can still get the games though, so
still get the games. Please get the games.
There's always more bundles out. I got another one because that's the one with solo players, the solo player RPGs. They had another bundle recently on that.
Ooh, solo play. Ooh, that'd be fun. Okay. I'm curious. I'm gonna put you on the spot slightly. We do have a tradition we've established here of the plea to the GMs of the world.
Yep.
Is if for any of your games, Monster of the Week, Three Dooms, Heavy Metal Aeons, what would be your plea to the GMs of the world for like how to do this right, how to make these games function best?
Okay, for Monster of the Week, I think what I see in people talking about it online, saying, I'm trying to make my mystery and not sure how it would go, or not sure how to introduce it to people to play it for the first time, is kind of just don't overthink it too much. It's pretty simple, and if it seems like you want to read more in than what's in the rule book and about how to make a mystery and how to play it, you don't need to. Just kind of follow those rules and you'll see how it works. So yeah, I think that's it. And don't worry about having to improvise stuff and make it up on the spot. It'll be fine.
Yeah, do it all the time. Yeah, it's fine. It's I love that you made a system that absolutely encourages that, because like,
yeah,
I mean, one of the fact that one of the monster moves is something, I'm paraphrasing, but something to the effect like escape no matter how much damage it's taken or something like that. Like, it just gets away because you said it does, and you go fight it again somewhere else. That like you have the power is yours to shape the story. If it's not cool, if it's not making something cool, then let the monster get away and let them go fight it somewhere else. It's fine.
Yeah, and also I think a lot of people find improvising very intimidating when they first do it, but it's also something that practice gets you there. So the more you try it, the better you'll get at it.
Monster of the Week's a great system to learn it too. It really is a great teaching tool if that's what you're trying to get into as a GM.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Monster of the Week. I mean, I'll say that I honestly believe that your game made me a better game master, because it does encourage improvisation. It does encourage playing to find out what happens. I know that's in Apocalypse World too, but like that attitude of as you said, just let it flow. Don't worry too much about the details and fill in the edges, and let the players fill in the edges of the map as things go. It's just made me better. Absolutely. So thank you for that. Much appreciated.
That's great. Oh, thank you for saying that, because I mean that's one of the things I hoped people would be able to get out of it, is like, here's a different way to run a game and have fun playing it. So knowing that it works, fantastic.
Oh yeah. So what about your other games? Please to the GMs of the world.
Three Dooms. That's GM-less anyway, so that's just a
art-based.
grab a group and explore it, have fun, imagining that you're a Stone Age person trying to make head or tail of the world. Heavy Metal Aeons is, as we said, it's going to be just crazy science fantasy, heavy metal inspired adventures. So I don't have any GM advice for that yet because I haven't written it. So.
all I would think there is just get
a good soundtrack on it.
Get a good soundtrack.
Definitely.
You have a playlist. There's a Spotify playlist. I saw that.
There is, yeah. Which I should probably go and add a few more things to, because it's been a while since I looked at it.
I'm gonna drop the link in chat here to the page for Heavy Metal Aeons for all of you out there. There is on the page. There is there at the bottom. There is the official Spotify playlist. And I see it does. Asleep in the Deep is in that playlist. So there you go.
Yeah, I think there's a theme song for each of the characters in there, I think, as well as a bunch of other stuff that I like. Yeah, so
I wasn't expecting this much Blue Oyster Cult, but I'm pleasantly surprised.
Well, Black Blade has got to be there, right?
Hell yeah.
For the sapient weapon.
Shit. I know. If you got. Oh, I love the sword. Oh yeah, I'm here. This is a good dude. You made a good playlist.
Oh, thank you.
This is solid. He makes great games and great playlists, my friends. This is killer. I'm so here for this. And I would just say for that game, lean into it, right? I mean, it's heavy metal over the top of. Just lean into the craziness.
So, Colin, does that mean Guyliner when we play it on stream?
Absolutely means Guyliner when we play it on stream.
So we're going to play this on stream.
Yeah.
I will make it happen.
I'll tell you one of the other mechanics I really like in Heavy Metal Aeons.
Ooh, do tell.
When you die, if you're one of the heroes, you get to continue play as a ghost or a soulless body or a cyborg or a revenant. So you get to go full on, and if you die, it doesn't matter. You can stay in the game, which is in our latest playtest. We had a case where one of the characters playing a berserker in the player, and the final battle against the final boss got annihilated, and the player was obviously a bit let down. I said, "No, look, now you get to choose which one of these you come back as."
Look at these
And
new sheets.
She like she was 100% back in. It's great fun.
That is brilliant because so many people fear death because, you know,
Yeah.
then I can't play anymore, or then it's the end, or I lost the story, I lost the game when I die, and it stops them,
But
me included. I used to be like that. It stops them from doing the cool stuff because what if it goes wrong?
yeah, but no, I think
Then-
in a heavy metal game, you've got to be able to die, but also that's no reason to stop.
To borrow a line from Cult, death is only the beginning.
Amazing.
Yep.
So that is a game that is definitely going on the list.
March 21st,
Yep,
absolutely.
I will do my best to get it finished for you.
I can't wait.
or at least slightly finished.
Well, I know you said the materials are a little out of date, the ones that you have up now, but
They're very out of date.
yeah, I see it says 2016, so they're they're pretty old. However, would you mind, just for the viewers, for people, so they could see what the idea of what this is, if I drop this?
Oh yeah, no, it's if people want to have a look through, like the style of it's still the same. It's just those rules have been thrown away.
I see. All the same. Take a look at it, folks. I think you're gonna think it's just as cool as I do because it's dope. I'm looking at the some of the games that inspired you here, and yeah, these are all. We have Apocalypse World, Aegon, Blades in the Dark, World of Dungeons, Mouse Guard, Circle of Hands, Dungeon World, Night Witches. I mean, if those are your inspirations, then yeah, this is kick-ass. I mean, that's a lot of very, very solid games going into a super awesome heavy metal badassery. So, well played, and we look forward to it.
I think actually, as a game designer, one of the best things to do is just play as many different games as you can, just so that you can kind of soak in all the different ideas and hopefully bring something new based on them.
Do you have a ridiculous, massive TTRPG shelf like I do that I'm not ashamed of at all? Oh, my man. Oh.
2 of them.
Oh.
You found your mountain. You found your mountain.
I've been defeated.
Yeah, no, beginning of last year, I made the mistake of going through them and like listing all the ones I hadn't actually played yet. It was a very long list.
Oh, no. Oh, the book hoarding.
I've tried to get a few played in the last year, but it's still quite a long list left to go. So,
well, we're always here for you.
In terms of problems to have, it's a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. This channel every Sunday we play a different game. New cast, new system, different game. So if you're ever aching to try something, come on by, Michael. We got you.
That's potentially, yeah.
Right on.
I'm a bit scared to make any actual firm plans at the moment, just because it seems like they are constantly being messed with in these current times. But no, that would be good sometime.
Yeah, I'm reminded of that line from It Can't Happen Here by Sinclair Lewis, and he says, before the revolution, back when we had the luxury of planning. And yeah, if that doesn't describe the COVID world, I don't know what does.
Yeah, no, it's all about cancelling things, I think, at the moment.
I am true.
Or postponing if you're feeling optimistic.
Fair enough.
Well, we will have a time after. We will join you guys in New Zealand, hopefully with some reasonable precautions and vaccinations, and get back to a semblance of regularity. Until then, we'll be playing games online. We'll be finding our friends in all corners of the world. We'll be introducing new people to Monster of the Week. Promise you that.
Thank you.
It's such a good introduction to it. Is there anything else on the horizon for you at the moment, Michael, that you would like to tell people about here? That you would like to plug any other appearances as we're heading towards the end?
Let's see. I have a couple of other projects that are to be dealt with after I finish revising Heavy Metal Aeons. One of them currently has no name. It's a kind of Stargate or XCOM inspired game built off Band of Blades and Blades in the Dark. But that needs quite a big kind of reworking at the moment. I'm kind of reframing the basic setup. So that's going to be a big chunk of work to get that sorted out. And after that, I've been working pretty much forever on a game of Napoleonic naval stories. So your Patrick O'Brien, Aubrey and Maturin, and Horatio Hornblower, and all of those sorts of stories.
Well, that's something we need to get
which
Trooper
is,
in on when it's done.
Oh, yeah.
That one is essentially, the rules are all written. I just haven't had the time to sit down and actually turn it into something that I can share yet. So those are the ones coming later, whenever later is.
So keep an eye on that website we linked. Spencer is excited about XCOM. I'm excited about Stargate, so that's a good combination.
Well, it should have equal parts of both, I think.
Sweet.
You're definitely going to get to jump through portals and explore alien worlds.
Hell yeah.
And for the XCOM side, there's going to be some base building and deciding what you're going to put in your different areas and things like that.
Dope. So yeah, I just dropped back in chat now. There is the link. We talked a lot about Monster of the Week, so there is a link to Monster of the Week on the Evil Hat website, but then also a link to Michael's personal website, Generic Games, where you can catch up on all the other projects that he's working on, which currently has stuff on 3 Dooms and Heavy Metal Aeons, and then in the future we'll have crazy-ass Napoleonic War stories, and that's awesome. That's so cool.
Those ones are not particularly crazy. That's quite a grounded game. That's very kind of low-level realism. So,
well, then I'll have to.
If you want the crazy stuff, you play one of my other games.
That is incredibly cool. All right. Well, Michael, it has been awesome talking to you. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Yeah. Thanks for inviting me along. It's been good.
Yeah. We're going to go, 2 of us are going to go hide in the other room for a second, and then we're going to say goodbye. But thank you so much for being here, Michael. We can't wait to play all the new things you have on the horizon.
Cool.
That was fantastic. Thank you.
All right. Talk to you later.
Thank you, Drew. Bye.
Oh, well. That was cool.
Yeah. Are you happy fanboying?
Yeah, I think I resisted fanboying pretty well, to be honest with you.
Well, I'm very proud of you.
For
yes.
my favorite game, I think I held it together pretty well, all considering.
Well, I hope everyone in chat also got some interesting insights out of that, plus some new games to put on your list, because that heavy metal one.
Heavy Metal Aeons.
I can't wait.
It's so cool. Everyone, I dropped the Google Drive link in chat. Please look at it, because it's so fucking cool. Let me just, is there a table here? Yeah, I mean, your playbooks here, your archetypes, you've got Astronaut, Beastmaster, Dog of War, Mystic Cat, very important. Psychic Veteran, Sapient Weapon. You can...
All right, before you rattle all of those off...
I'm skipping a few.
I know. We'll definitely show you what that is when the time comes. Let's not push Michael too much. He needs to have a life as well. But from us at this point, thank you so much for watching today's GM Post-Mortem, or Game Dev Post-Mortem at this point really, as well. Basically. And we will, of course, be back in 2 weeks with yet more interesting insight.
We have our guest for 2 weeks, so we can say it.
Go for it.
Oh, it's 2 weeks. We'll be here with Megan Cross, who was actually on the first show I ever did, the first stream show I ever did. Unfortunately, she left it early, but I only got to play with her for 1 session. But she will be on, and if you're familiar with her work, she makes the Session 0 deck, which is like one of my favorite GM tools ever. So we'll probably talk about that, and talk about the importance of forming bonds between player characters in the outset of a campaign and all that. So come hang out in 2 weeks, 8 o'clock, same time, same place. We'll be talking to Megan.
And until then,
oh, good.
sorry.
I was going to say this weekend too, though. Sunday, One Shot Sunday this week is Masks. So 7 o'clock this Sunday. It's going to be a whole lot of new faces that have not been on the channel before, so come hang out, where we'll do some crazy superhero bullshit. Oh, sorry.
We'll be...
Actually, I went to the end screen too soon. My bad.
And we'll also, of course, have our new season starting up in the week of the 15th over on Weave the Tale. So there's another PbtA hack, actually, that I'll be GMing, which is Great American Witch. And Colin, what are you going to be on?
I am going to be running a game of Black Void by Christopher Stapleton. Great game. That is Black Void Into the Oblivious Depths. That is going to involve a whole bunch of people going off to find new planets, and it's going to be weird and sad and awesome. So come see that.
So check those out, and we are going to rate our friends over at Critical Misses who are playing Psyhinder, Twilight Road. Anna just sang a wonderful song. I had people in my DMs crying about it.
Oh,
yes, you, Anna, you go play your game. I know you're on break anyway, but still, I'm going to catch up on the VOD there, and all of you get a nice little taste of what these lovely folks are up to.
Shall we?
From us, good night. Let's shall.
Let's shall. All right. Good night, everybody. Thanks for
Good night,
stopping by.
everyone.
Raid.